August 1687. Under Governor Sir Edmund Andros in the Dominion of New England, Ipswich is ordered to comply with the new royal tax and appoint a local officer to collect it. But the people said, hey, wait a minute, dude. We don't think that's actually a good thing to do because you're trying to impose a tax on us without our consent, and we just see that as illegitimate. So we're just going to say no and defy you on that. That was one of the first actions that led us to American resistance as a whole. It took another century before we all took up the mantle, or at least a vast majority of people took up the mantle to shoot and try to gain independence. Hence Ipswich having the moniker of the birthplace of American independence. But today, like many other towns and cities in the country, the people of Ipswich continue their commitment to democracy by exercising their First Amendment rights to protest their grievances. And it seems there are many under the current federal government. So along those lines, my guest today is David Russell, chair of the Ipswich Democratic Town Committee, a member of the Ipswich Human Rights Commission, and one of the visible local figures helping organize and sustain democracy-focused protests in this town, including Ipswich's No Kings demonstration. Welcome to the Sane Estate. I'm John Woolforth. David has been kind enough to get on the hot seat and provide his take on what the protests are, why they're needed, and how they will eventually make a difference. We think. Where else but Ipswich, right? In 1687, we did it first and we did it best. At least that's what I've heard. So, of course, there are opponents of the protests, which we'll touch on as well. David, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you could come in today and do this for us. So, obviously up until now, there really hasn't been a huge amount of protests in this town under other presidents, other administrations. Why do you think it's this thing now? What do you think lit the fuse to get us into this situation where we feel like we have to show our disagreement with what is happening in this country?
Oh, good question. Thank you. Actually, one little correction on the introduction. The Ipswich Human Rights Commission, I was briefly a member of that. I am no longer.
You bailed?
No, I am no longer, yes. Not.
Oh, I'm embarrassed. There's my... Thanks a lot, research person, i.e., other words, say AI. And that's it. So, okay, anyway, go ahead.
No, but a good question. And the story of how this started was, it was the inauguration of President Trump the second time in January of 25. Mm-hmm. And a guy I've known for quite a while, Scott Newell, who I guess he's the person who connected us.
Right.
He took it upon himself one Saturday morning. He said, this is like a month into the presidency. I need to protest. I'm going to go down to Five Corners and I'm going to get a few of my friends. And this Saturday morning, he sent me a message and asking if I wanted to come. And as it turned out, I had some other plans, so I didn't join them. But there was half a dozen or so people who went, and some pictures were taken. And he sent me the information about that. And a couple other people told me about it too. Like, and there was this beginnings of this happening around the country. So the next Saturday, I spread the news as best I could among my networks. There's another organization, Ipswich Community Action, that got involved early on, and I think 65 people the next weekend. The one after that, 212. That one coincided with International Women's Day, which was a draw. But it started by just a couple taking initiative, a single person, Scott Newell. We found out a little while later that actually the previous Saturday, a couple, Tom Rogers and Elizabeth Lewis, had taken it upon themselves, they went themselves, just the two of them. And I think now we've become more organized and larger, but I think in that origin is part of the real story of this, that yes, organizations are involved and trying to provide some structure and publicity for this, but it still remains a kind of spontaneous organization, expression of outrage from people who don't necessarily know each other, but have the sense of, we just need to do something. But I guess not really answering your question yet about sort of why this president. Well, this president isn't normal. I mean, I've lived long enough to seen quite an assortment of presidents of both parties. My parents and grandparents were Democrats, and that's kind of sort of what I've grown up with. And but the Republican presidents that I haven't liked previous to this one, they had more of a core of some human decency, and we had serious and sometimes quite fundamental differences on policy, but this president and administration are different and in not a good way, and that's become just intolerable for people. So that I first got involved in politics. I had an older sister who she worked for George McGovern for president back in '72, and so I gave out some things at doors, then without thinking too much about it. My older sister wanted me to do it, so I did it. But then in college, I got involved in things. So for me, it's been a half a century of at different levels, at different points in my life, because of responsibilities of child raising and work. So some of us who've been going on Saturdays have a long history of participation, but there's other people, probably almost every weekend, for whom it's their first time. I've never done this before, but right now, this is different, and that's part of what's wonderful about the assemblage of people. From the outside, there can be a stereotype of they're all pick sort of the derogatory phrase that you want to use, but and there are some and there are the average yes. I don't know what's the 80% of people are older than you. Maybe even higher than that. But that's not a bad thing. But that's not the whole group. And within that group, it's not all the same. And it's also not a bad thing. I mean, it's good that people of whatever age are doing things. It's a limitation if it's only or overwhelmingly people of a certain age, but that doesn't at all give reason to dismiss it, I don't think.
Well, wouldn't you say, sure, a lot of them are older, right? But wouldn't you say it's more like a shared experience of all living longer, then you've had more time to experience, again, what you're perceiving as what would be a normal type of situation in this country versus what is happening now. So, I mean, I view it that way, that people just sort of have seen better days, and they feel like now is not where it should be. And, I think that is this a surprise to you that all of a sudden all these people are coming out and saying, yeah, I've never done this before, but I think I have to. Well, why, is that a new thing?
Well, I remember when I was in my early 20s, I was involved in a number of different sorts of activism, and we'd often say, "Gee, how come the people who are a little older than us, like, why won't you come to a meeting? Why won't you do this?" People who were married and had kids, and they go home every day and take care of business at home. And then before long, I was in that situation too, and I was taking care of my family and my job, and didn't have much time for anything else. Now, into retirement, there's more time. So I think there is a bit of an accumulation of perhaps a bit of wisdom or just understanding that people get after decades and decades of life. But also there's the opportunity to have more discretionary time than you do when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and overwhelmed with responsibilities.
Yeah. Okay. That makes there's some validity to that. I would agree. But the bottom line is, it's not just older people. I keep saying that. It's not just older people. I apologize. I mean, I'm in your same age group, so it's like, I'm talking about myself as well. But it is younger people too.
Yeah, well, occasionally we have, there's 2 generation groups, occasionally 3 generation groups. that have been there. Actually, there was once when one of my daughters and her daughter were there, and that kind of stuff is wonderful. And we also at the sort of far end of it, there's a woman who's a retired nun. Who's 102, who comes when she can.
Yes,
There's a
a
gentleman
rock
who's
star.
102 or 3, who's a World War II vet. He drives by with a friend of his who's a Korean War vet, and they have signs "Still Fighting for Democracy," and they're
That's awesome.
physically not quite up to coming out and standing for the whole time. Though I'm told they
Right.
may come and join us with chairs. I mean, those kind of things are spectacular. I mean, that's not something to denigrate. That's something to be impressed by. Like, wow, someone who's who's got that vision of history and life experience to feel strongly, and I wouldn't be surprised if those gentlemen, this is a new thing for them, they coming out to these things. I don't know that by any means, but no, I think it, and each Saturday when people start coming, we don't know for sure. There's an online sign up that some people do. But there's no need to sign up, so that's only a handful of people on most weeks. So
Right.
it's a nothing's guaranteed. But then myself and a couple of the other people, or the marshals, will sort of look in this direction, and there's people coming here. We'll look in this direction. There's people coming here from that direction, and people want to be there. It's and people will ask, like, gee, every Saturday? And we ask ourselves, at first, after the first few, we had a discussion at an Ipswich Democrats meeting, like, gee, so how long should we keep going with this? Should we just set a date out, or a month or two, and then reconsider? And I remember one person saying, no, we should this is something we're going to have to do for the duration. And here we are, more than a year later, and it's an hour a week. There's a million things you could do. It's Saturday at noontime myself, and there's we can all bristle at that a little bit, like, gee, but with what's going on being so horrible, in my opinion, with such disastrous results for so many people in the United States and internationally, for us to do it for an hour a week is not too much to ask. And there's no one who's been there every time. I've missed a good number of visiting grandkids, or different things like that. Everyone, it's the marathon, not a sprint here, and everyone's got a life, and family comes first when there's an important thing there. But it's a beautiful community. That people speak about. I'm standing next to someone I never knew before, and we have a little talk. We have some commonality, and it's a supportive spirit, and it's. People are angry about what's going on, but the basic mood is positive. It's welcoming.
Yes.
People smile. We're trying to stand up for good values. It's not hatred.
So it's strengthening the community, would you say?
It is. What's strengthening it?
Yeah.
I think part of it is the voluntary aspect of it. It's a couple months ago now. At the end of one of them, there was a guy who stopped by, and I know you're all being paid by George Soros, and we didn't really get into it too much, but he was not joking. He was not. I mean, and I think most opponents don't have that illusion. That's a pretty fringe sort of idea. But no, we're not getting paid. It's not. It's for. Trying to make a difference in your life in the time we have left, because this is, the damage that's being done is so profound that, and so it feels good to do that and to be positive. People change their signs depending on what's going on in this, different reasons. I mean, some people, I think international things, Ukraine or Iran, those are the things that are most important to me. So for other people, it might be the environment. For other people, it might be the Epstein files. Others, the treatment of immigrants. Although we all pretty much are concerned about all the things, but it's a sort of a nice potpourri of different sort of emphases. And we don't all, we don't there's no forum where we try to talk about details of policy, like what should be the top tax rate be. It used to be that
Yeah.
people who have the wealthiest Americans used to pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes by quite a bit than they do now. So what should the top percentage be? Something like that within our group. There'd be differences, as there would be among many things. But basically, right now, we don't care. We want to emphasize what we have in common, what's important, what we think needs to happen, and it's worth the time.
So it sounds like there's sort of a cavalcade of grievance here. I mean, everyone, and this was sort of going to my next question. I think you actually kind of already answered it, which was a lot of people you're coming together under the global umbrella concept of preserving democracy, but everyone has a different motivation, right? I mean, there's a lot of different ones, and I think you just sort of covered that a bit.
Yes, I think so. And I actually, I've I don't know what percentage of the crowd I know or have talked with. I'd be guessing for a lot of people. Oh, here's someone I've never seen before. They're here. I can see what their sign is, but I don't know anything beyond that. And I think that it's just kind of there's so much sort of cynicism about politics, and I think one of the things that I think draws people to come with some frequency is it gives a sense of hope, that and of course you go on Saturday, you go home. What has changed in the world? Okay, nothing that you can see, of course. Change happens very slowly, and incrementally, and but that's another thing of age too. We know that there's no quick, easy answer for anything, but little bit of a time at a time, that's all right. That is all right, because we don't know when our days are going to be over. The end is closer than the beginning, closer than the beginning every day. And that's really true. So what do you want to think about when the days are coming to an end? Did I use my time to try to be the best person I can, to try to help out in a way that I best figured, and we do very much want to be sort of welcoming. One of the things there's a gentleman who lives down the street from me who used to be involved in the town Republican committee for a long time. He's a little older now, so he's sort of dropped out from doing that. But he's come to a few of the Saturday events, and he holds a sign that says Trump with a slash across it, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him about why this, because he's my imagination is he hasn't given up the sense of okay, I'm a Republican mostly. I agree with the program of that party and its history, but I don't like what's happening right now, and we very much welcome that and encourage it, and want a big tent. We don't want like I'm with the Ipswich Democratic Town Committee. I don't care if you're not a Democrat. I mean, of course, I think that's what is the best way to go. But not sort of narrow-minded or territorial about this. We need a welcoming spirit, a openness to dialogue, and trying to find out. I don't pretend to know all the answers. I think that's healthy and important. So.
How did you become the designated driver, so to speak, of the protest?
Well, upon retirement in 2020, I all of a sudden had a lot more of a discretionary time than I once did. So one of the things I did was started going to meetings of the Ipswich Democratic Town Committee. At that point, it was during COVID, so they were remote, and I was kind of interested. You meet. So I made some good people, and I was starting to get involved. And the person who was the chair needed to step down, and there was a need for someone to fill that position. And I was asked, and there wasn't a contested election. But that also felt good. I mean, when I spent my career or most of it as a teacher in the Boston Public Schools, and I was a union representative for my building, which involved getting a bunch of different things of disseminating information and recruiting people to do this and that. And being chair of the Ipswich Democrats is a little bit picking up the skills that I developed back then, running meetings and stuff like that. So
This is a natural progression.
there's sort of
Right.
similarity and overlap, and we have built the organization quite a bit in this few years, a lot because of the of what's going on in Washington, and so it's a very sensible thing for us to get behind a protest like this. Though some cities and towns, the Democratic committees are more focused just on elections, and my sense is that yes, we want to work to elect Democrats, but it's sensible to be involved in lots of things beyond that, to not have such a narrow sense of our mandate.
What is being that you're the chair of the Ipswich Democratic Town Committee, are you not involved in getting people elected? Is that not one of the goals?
Oh, for sure. No, very much. That is a core goal, yes. No, very much. Both locally, and we work, actually just as we speak at my house, there's people coming by to pick up postcards to send to Georgia to try to impact a race there. We do, that. We do phone calling. People make contributions if they're financially able to help different things or beyond where we are here. And then, yes, here in Massachusetts, we've had a forum a little while back for all the candidates running to replace Representative Moulton, and we'll be. And we've had each of them come to an individual meeting to speak more in depth.
Yeah.
So many different things to try to elect candidates locally and beyond. We'd put a lot of attention on that.
So you see a lot of bouncing around. You mentioned how many, week to week, it's going to be a different amount of people that show up. Are you seeing that this is a commonality in the when people come or they don't come? Overall, though, you've seen an increase in participation?
Yes. I've kept track, over the year or so. I have a document where every week I put in the number of people and, photos and stuff like that. A little bit, or more, what used to be maybe 125 or 110 as an average, we're now more like 150, 160. It's somewhat weather dependent.
Well, that's a 20% increase, right?
Yes, boy, and it's because it's happened so reliably. It's become a bit of a ho hum. Oh, yeah, there's 140 people. There's 180 people, but 140 or 180 people is a lot of people. It used to be
Right.
like sign holding for candidates. If there's a dozen people out there, that's a lot of people. But rather than have it be not noteworthy that this happens with regularity, I see it as very noteworthy. Like, wow, how is it that every Saturday since last February, we had a cold drizzly day back in late May where we had like 70 people, but it was raining, not hard rain, but it was and in the middle of the winter when it was 12 degrees and windy, people came out, and you kind of get a kick out of it too in a way. Like, okay, I'm actually not just the sunshine patriot. I just come when it's easier. I just do it once or twice because it's cool, and then I talk, I talk about it with people like, oh yeah, I did that. I did my token little thing. Well, no, so stick with it.
It's more about feeling better about themselves and contributing to the common good, right?
Yes, and anything that you're going to do, you've got to a job. Not every second of the job you're going to love doing, but you show up. Showing up is important. And one of the things that's most gratifying is the interaction that happens between the sign holders and the passing cars. It's incredible. We have some people who keep some statistics on that, how many cars go by, what percentage honk, and how many negatives there are. And there was an opportunity about a month or so ago. We had a fundraising breakfast for Ipswich Democrats, so I had to come a bit late to the event, and I had never done this before. As I drove to Middle Green, where it was, at Five Corners, I could hear in the distance the honks of cars, and then as I came closer, I heard more, and then as I drove through, honking, the people cheering. It was like, wow, wasn't it a beautiful gathering this is. What a kind of inspiring outpouring of sentiment. And it gives everybody, not just the 150 people are there, but, perhaps, multiple of that, 600, 800 people who honk. Okay, we're all feeling like, yes, we're not alone, we're not crazy. This is going to pass. This is going to pass. So I think and it's amazing too that, okay, Ipswich, we have this. There are dozens of communities on the North Shore who do this usually on Saturday, occasionally other times, like Topsfield has a Friday afternoon one, and it's all over.
So was Ipswich set by example? Was Ipswich, do you think, was first?
I don't know that we were. I think Newburyport might have started a week. I'm not sure. There's a bunch of us who started around the same time, and I don't know, and I don't care. It's not a competition.
You're doing something.
Yes.
You're achieving a goal. I mean, at least you perceive you're achieving a goal. What would you define that goal as?
I think sort of kind of keeping hope alive. If I had to say a phrase, keeping hope alive, because it's very easy to get discouraged, to get angry, to get despondent, resentful, all these different sort of things from the daily barrage of nonsense and worse in the news. But
Right.
when people leave, they feel. I mean, different people have used different images for it. Some have described it as like going to church. Others said, "Oh, it's free therapy." Pick your.
So it's cathartic.
Pick your cathartic. Cathartic is a good word, and also not to overdo it either or get too carried away with our importance or significance. Okay, yes, I think this is good. Are we, the heroes of the century or something? Are we this? Are we the same as people who are protesting in Iran in January and thousands of them were killed? No, we're nothing like that. We're not risky. People do worry a little bit about potential little bits of risk, but no, we are not putting our lives on the line. So while I think it's important and significant, I'm not trying to get carried away with we're the same as other people who've done things with much greater risk.
Okay, well that's what about the adversity factor? Now we sort of touched on it a little bit, but I've seen this on Facebook and especially in the Pissimo. There are people out there who say that you're just causing a disturbance, you're causing obstructions, you're interfering with local businesses, you're driving people, potential revenue away from the town. What do you say to that?
No. I mean, all questions, if they're sincere questions, are fair questions. I mean, we're a very well-behaved crowd. There was a time a few weeks ago where I picked up a little piece of paper at the end of one, and I thought, oh, gee, this is kind of unusual. I don't know that I think likely it wasn't from us. But that's a small, simple thing. We leave the place as well as we found it. We have marshals who help manage the crowd. The people are basically self-organized not to block traffic. When people need to cross the street, we thank the cars who stop. We keep ourselves down a ways from the stores that are on South Main Street, because could it be that there's been some reduction in business for some people because of our being there? Perhaps. We try to minimize that. We encourage people to not park downtown. And when I've traveled around, I've seen parking spaces there. People tend to go a little bit further away because, yes, we want people to be able to, get out of their cars quick, go into a store and leave. And we're only 1 hour. Some people have talked about, gee,
Right.
it'd be better if we do longer. I said, no, 1 hour is good. A gentleman said to me last week, he said, yeah, I often go and get lunch after that. I think, we're bringing business to Ipswich. I don't have hard numbers on that, and I can appreciate. Initially, we were at Five Corners. With pretty quickly, we outgrew that. Partly for safety, that
Sure.
we have. There was 212 people there one time, and we were on all the different corners, and it obstructed vision for cars. That was not a good situation. And if we're right in the middle of town there, that people were standing in front of Heart and Soul. Staying away from the door, but nearby. And so there's crowds of people on the sidewalk there, it's harder for pedestrians to get through. So we quickly, moved to Middle Green, where it's a nice spot where there aren't stores right there.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we're doing our best to be good citizens. So I don't see that there's a whole lot of substance to those comments, as far as I know. But it's worth thinking about. We want to be good citizens. We don't want to make enemies. We want to find win-win situations as much as is possible. A little example at the Veterans Memorial that was put together, and last fall there was a ceremony for that on a Saturday. Larry Jordan, the commander of the VFW, approached me a couple months in advance and said, we're having this thing coming up. Could you do something different on that Saturday? And I said, no, thank you for approaching me. Let me. Yes, we will. We're not going to get in the way. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do, but I'll get back to you. And we considered different options, from having it on a different day, different location, different time. And what we ended up doing was moving from noon to 9 o'clock on Saturday. So we were done 9 to 10. That event started at noontime, so we were gone 2 hours ahead of time. A number of us went to that event, and it wasn't a hard sell. I anticipated there might be some people who would say, "Nah, we're not going to move. We're doing this." That would be, well, dumb and wrong.
It's,
This is a good thing. Almost everybody in their families has someone who's been a veteran, and even if you hadn't, yes, we need to honor people who have served. And though it doesn't mean, people have said, we have our event by the memorial. Oh, that's sacrilegious. No, we have veterans among us every week.
Right.
We're not, my father, who was in World War II, fought to save democracy. That's not true. But actually, I think this interaction that Larry Jordan and I had on this occasion was an example of how people who don't agree on everything can be respectful of each other and work together. And I thank him for the respectful way that he approached me. I think that we did a good job from our side, and understanding that we're all operating within the rules. We want a win-win situation, and that can be done. A danger these days is for people to demonize the other side too much. Or too much. You shouldn't demonize people who vote differently than I do, and perhaps are supporters of the president. Do that for an assortment of reasons. I don't like to be caricatured for positions I take. We shouldn't caricature other people. They do it for a number of different reasons, and we want to find, so where do we have overlap? We voted differently, but we want a peaceful, safe, prosperous world. We maybe disagree on how we're going to get there, but I'd like to find points of unity and grow those. Not to pretend that differences aren't significant and serious, but to be not stuck in it. So there's no communication, no crossing the line, no hope for a better future.
So Any being that civility is something that can break down if hammered enough by belligerents. Have you had any physical confrontations, or at least verbal? I understand that people yell certain epithets from their cars, the ones who disagree as well. That's actually what I'm getting at. So has anything like that occurred?
No, I mean, physical. There's been a couple of occasions where cars have sort of accelerated and gone near the side of the road. But
That's rather juvenile.
Yeah, but no, not with intent to harm. Because if they had that intent, they probably would have succeeded. No, but those rare and slight. There's never been anyone who has come up to on foot to us and tried to start something. That's happened in some other communities, but
Right.
rarely. We haven't had that. We do have every week there's people passing by who put a thumbs down or say something they're not in agreement. Fine. There are some middle fingers each week. Actually, last week I didn't see this one, but there was a guy who leaned across his young kids in the car to give the middle finger out to us. There was a guy last week who
In front of his child?
huh?
In front of his child?
Yes, yeah. There was a couple of kids. There was a guy last week who put up the Nazi salute and held it for the length of middle green. There was a person who mooned the group at South Green last weekend. So
I wonder who felt more embarrassed there.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, and though that's not typical of our opponents. Those are sort of outliers. Though you get there's some weird ones. A guy yelled some months ago to me, "Oh, go back to Russia." I'm not sure what that was about.
Well, I think he's implying that you're all communists.
I guess so, but yeah, I guess, but that's kind of that was been quite a few decades ago. Russia's not communist for quite some time, but so there's some of that, and we very much encourage our group to not respond in kind, and that occasionally there've been people who might have yelled back, but mostly, almost exclusively, no, we don't, because that we don't win from that. They're trying to get us to kind of lose our cool, and that's not our game, and there aren't that many. I mean, if there's any given week, fingers left on my hand counting the number of middle fingers or things like that, and often only one hand. So that's good.
That's good,
And
right?
yeah. So that's actually a positive thing for our opponents. The most, yes, people do that. Every weekend there's some people who swear at us or whatnot, but not many.
What about the vitriol online?
I don't pay much attention to that. I mean, once in a while I take a look, and it's kind of sad to me. I think I saw one recently. The field trip from the nursing home. Oh yeah, like
Right.
well, that's supposed to be. Yeah. And if it was, it's okay. It's not. But if it was, what's wrong with that? And and about how stupid people are, and I mean, I think those kind of comments, the loudness is prominent, but they aren't necessarily that large a group. And Facebook political dialogue, I don't participate in it
Right.
because it tends to be you suck, no you suck more. Like, not a lot of more heat than light. I'm sure that there's exceptions to that if I look closely enough, but it's I'm not at all attracted, and it's upsetting sometimes. And some of the things that people say, like, really.
Well, it is. I would think I agree there, because you sort of say to yourself, "Well, this is my neighbor. You don't agree. We can all. This is what democracy is. You can disagree with each other, and do it in a way that's civil, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so, would you say that these people are sort of going to extreme lengths to? They're expressing their views, wouldn't you say? But they're doing it in a. It's not an accurate way, I guess, or not a clear way, because they're just expressing anger
Right.
but that's not all there is to it.
Right. There was one I saw this quite a while ago, a meme, in response to our standouts. A kid says to a parent, "Can you get can you okay, can you get pregnant from anal sex?" And the parent says, "Of course, that's where Democrats come from." And I thought, what? Like
And again, you're
and this is
talking
actually,
to the-
this is a person's name. It wasn't a name I recognized, but I don't know.
but this is
That's it's not good, and there's it's not equivalent, but from time to time there's things said from our side too that I think are not constructive to debate. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of leaving that to others. Not that it's something people shouldn't participate in online debates. It's something I'm not drawn to. I don't participate in, and I find not a healthy symptom of where society's at.
Well, what would you say to your opponents? What would be a summation of what you're doing? What would you say to your opponents to help them understand why you're doing what you're doing, but also why you should be allowed to do it?
Well, we think, and one thing that's often pointed out is, well, there was an election, Trump was elected. And yes, he was elected. Unlike many on the other side, we're not denying the reality that with the rules as they stand, yes, he was elected. Not in a landslide as he pretends, but yes, he was elected. So given that, why don't we just wait till the next election and do something different? Because we want to, because what's going on is so bad, in my opinion, and the opinion of many millions of others, so that it's such that we need to do something that we wouldn't usually do, and we will obey rule. And this is part, yes, the Constitution, First Amendment, freedom of speech, and we do it in a way as best we can to not interfere with others.
So you're telling me the First Amendment is not selective?
The First Amendment is not selective. Yes, right. So if someone has views counter to what I have, and they would like to assemble and advance those positions, of course they have the right to do that, and I would defend that.
Now there's the other element of it, which is the no kings concept. This obviously stemmed from my understanding anyways, are the actions of this president and this administration and the things that they're doing on a daily basis makes it seem as if he is, unilateral in his decisions, i.e. a king, right? Does it mean anything more than that to you?
I mean, to me, I'm not the biggest fan of the phrase "no kings," because people say, "Oh, he's not really a king," and okay, he's not really a king. So, but I mean, the strength of it is just two words, and it is about a tendency. It's his, whether or not it's literally wanting to be a king. He does want to have disproportionate power beyond what's provided for in the Constitution. But the idea of those large gatherings is they attract people and give an opportunity for people who can't make every Saturday commitment to come for a special thing. So it's roughly 10 times as many people come on a No Kings Day here in Ipswich than what we have in our regular Saturday things. And and the many millions around the country, it's really it's unprecedented in U.S. history. And each time they've gotten bigger. I don't have the numbers offhand. It was something like 3 million to 5 million to 8 million the three different times, and that's a lot of people. Though the press that covers them, I don't know if the press is too worried about seeming sympathetic to this side. I remember looking at the Boston Globe, thousands gather. And yes, it was thousands of thousands. And it's you can't with precision know how many people it was, but they and I saw the same thing with the New York Times, that they were I think a little too gun shy to give the attention that that gatherings of this size should have. Here in Ipswich, for our last No Kings, was it 1,600 people? That's more than 10% of the town. We had an article, it was page 13, might have been page 15, about it. But that's a very big thing. Why wasn't that on the front page? We had a month earlier had a front page article which interviewed people who come to the events, and I thought that was was an interesting thing to give a little bit of the sort of backstory, the diversity of who the participants are. But yeah, there's I think there'll be some who say, oh, we're getting too much attention, but I think given how what's going on now compares to things that have been done in the past, I think the attention is not yet sufficient.
All right, so you would say basically full speed ahead, maintain course. Is this going to actually elevate into anything more than this protest? Is it going to become more activism? Is it going to become more organizational offense?
Yeah, no, good question. It has. I mean, we sometimes we have a table for Ipswich Democrats at the event, and people sign up for our email list, and people do participate in lots of different things. When I started as chair, I'm not sure, it was something like 75, 80 people on our email list. We're over 600 now, and people come to meetings. People do postcarding and phone calls. People go to town. We encourage people to go to town meetings for different things. People go to different events that we put on. So it's always going to be a subsection of people who will do things beyond, say, coming to a No Kings thing. But we're trying hard to go beyond that. Every Monday I send out a email called Opportunities for the Week, which tries to give opportunities of different things that you can do. From this week I mentioned about the vandalism that happened at Three Sisters, and ask people if they can to contribute, or if they want to volunteer to help out. The YMCA has this thing in April where each Wednesday there's a couple of local restaurants that if you go to that restaurant on their Wednesday, they give a little portion of their proceeds to help provide support for groceries for people in need. So try to connect people to lots of different things going on. People have different interests and skills and comfort levels. So
there's more benefit coming out of this than initially thought would.
Definitely, we try.
It's not necessarily the goal, which I assume the goal is sending a message to Congress to sort of help rein in what's going on, or sort of do something beyond, staying on the sidelines, right?
Yes. And people will say, like, well, gee, here in Massachusetts, our state rep Kristen Cassidy is a Democrat, Seth Moulton, our U.S. reps a Democrat, our two senators are Democrats, the constitutional office. What do you want? You've got Democrats in all these positions. Part of it is to sort of push them a little further, or to thank them for what they're doing,
perhaps and be more activists themselves.
Yes. So it's not everything that's said critical of us has no basis to it. Like sometimes it's a fair question. Sometimes I'll take. I mean, not always is it asked in a sincere way. It's more of a trying to get you, or oh boy, not a rhetorical question, but. There are real questions too, and I have no problem trying to answer them, and the answers aren't always entirely simple.
Well, David, there's a lot to wrap our heads around as far as what this protest is, where it's going, and what it's doing. So I thank you for coming in and giving us some heads up or some insight on what, why, right? That's number one. But we're not done yet.
Okay.
There is. If you've seen any of these shows, and you know that there is another thing we need to, another piece of business we need to take care of. It's called the lightning round.
Okay.
And the lightning round, as you probably know, is a series of silly, stupid questions that do require quick thinking and an answer is in as short amount of words as you can offer.
So kind of like the Colbert questionnaire, huh?
That, in a sense, it is exactly that. Is influenced by that guy, because Colbert is an amazing comic and just amazing creative guy, in my opinion. And this is democracy. I can express my opinion. All right. Number 1. Kellogg's Corn Flakes cereal claims it has 8 essential vitamins and minerals. Name them.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wait. It's a multiple choice.
Okay.
So choose 8 of the following options.
Oh, my goodness.
Iron, vitamin B3, vitamin B6, vitamin B2, vitamin B1, folic acid, vitamin D3, and vitamin B12.
I'll say the first 8.
You win. That was a hard one, huh?
Oh, you had me nervous for a minute there. Because I don't know that I would have named 2 of those without the option to multiple choice.
And almost made it through this episode without hitting the table. I just did it first time. All right, true or false? The astronauts chosen to fly the Artemis 2 mission were over the moon about it.
True.
Indeed, they were, literally.
Yeah. Yes.
Number 3, a baker needed some dough to start a bakery. Of course, if he didn't need it, wouldn't the whole thing be half-baked? There's a lot of puns in there.
Yes.
Indeed, it would, because he needed dough to start the business, whether it's
Right.
that dough or money. And then, of course, if he didn't need the dough, i.e., the whole thing is half-baked. Why do I have to explain the whole thing? I don't know. This is my problem in life. I always have to elaborate way too much. My wife's like, shut up, Captain Obvious. True or false? A broken clock is right twice a day, but a working clock is always right about time.
Oh. Yes. I like that one.
Yes. True or false? In football, a halfback is the guy who has to return 50% of his earnings.
False.
I was desperate. I had to come up with something. All right. Last one. You heard the saying, read the room. How many words does it actually take?
How many? 2.
3. Read the room.
Well, if you're reading the room is 2 words.
So you've heard the saying, read the room.
Yes.
So how many words does it actually take for that saying?
Oh, the phrase. Okay. Oh, for the action of reading.
I didn't say that last
for the
part.
action of reading is 2, but the phrase is 3. Yes. Yep.
See? Just
You got me. Okay, you got me.
I can't imagine what people say about me after they're like, really? Did you ask that stuff? Anyway. Thanks again. My thanks to David Russell for joining me. What conversations look like this? What conversations like this make clear is that democracy is not sustained by abstraction; it's sustained by the people. Right? The people who are willing to be visible, willing to take the chances, willing to get out there and show that they care about the democracy under which we live. People willing to risk the awkwardness, the fatigue, the ridicule, right? To go out there and make a stand and say, you see something wrong and you think it should be corrected. This is a difficult task for many of us. I think a lot of us don't have the will or feel embarrassed about it or haven't hit our own breaking point. And I think that is what drives a lot of people to finally make the commitment to fighting for change. Is citizenship something we perform once in a while, or is it something we practice regularly, publicly, and with a little nerve? I think that's what you're doing. You're showing some nerve, you're showing some backbone, you're showing that we're not going to take this lying down, and we feel we have something to say. So that is fantastic. All of that is great, and I wish you the best of luck continuing the protest, and I hope more people understand why and how it should be a thing. Now, if you want to be on the show, I'm always looking for new people to jump on here and talk with me because, hey, information is power. And the more information you have, the more power you have as far as day-to-day doing what you need to do. So until next time, oh, by the way, sorry about that. Yeah, if you want to be on the show, you could contact us at guest@saneestate.com, or go to the website, saneestate.com, and fill out the contact form. We're always looking for butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, riskers, takers. Isn't that the same thing? Anyway, anyone who has a story, an idea, a thought, I can make that word, contribution to this town that we all love and we all want to grow and succeed. Until next time, I'm John Woolforth. Stay kind, stay curious, but most of all, stay sane.